What if the Queen of Gospel was crying for help while we were clapping for her performance? What if her kingdom was built on silence, fire and control? This is not a rumor. This is Tamela Mann's voice finally breaking the chains. And once you hear what really happened behind closed doors, you will never look at gospel's golden couple the same way again. Stay with us. This story will shake your soul. What if everything you believed about gospel's golden couple was just an illusion? Behind the amens and standing ovations, something dark was hiding: pain, silence, and betrayal that was slowly building up like a storm. Tamela Mann, the powerful voice behind "Take Me to the King," has now shattered the perfect image we were all shown. She is finally speaking out about the man she once called her king. Yes, it is true. David Mann, her husband, her partner in music, and the man known for being a faithful family man, is now at the heart of one of gospel's most shocking stories. And this is not gossip. This is not whispers in a church parking lot. This is Tamela herself speaking up with proof, anger, and painful honesty. So why did she stay silent for so long? What pushed her to call 911? And just how deep does this hurt go? This is no longer just a troubled marriage. This is a faith-based empire falling apart from the inside. If what she is saying is true, David did not just hurt her feelings, he damaged her body, emptied her bank account, and almost crushed her will to go on. Get ready, because what you are about to hear is the biggest gospel scandal of the decade. People often say that every strong woman carries a story the world is not ready for. And today, Tamela Mann's truth is not just being told, it is being shouted across the gospel world. Because when the Queen of Gospel finally breaks down and reveals that her king turned their life into a cage, everything starts shaking. For years, we saw Tamela and David as the ideal gospel couple, a perfect mix of faith, music, and family fun. Sunday mornings were for worship, and weekdays were filled with laughter on TV. They seemed like the couple every Christian family admired. But what if that bond was fake? What if those smiles were hiding sadness? What if the Queen of Gospel was silently suffering while everyone cheered for her? Everything changed the day David Mann Jr., also known as Jerb, went live on Instagram. That moment flipped everything. He did not just talk about personal issues, he exposed the secrets. He opened up the vault and poured out years of hidden family pain for the whole world to see. According to Jerb, Tamela was more than just tired, she was forced to perform even when her health was failing. He said she was taking strange pills, and that her oxygen tank was hidden behind the stage while she sang to massive crowds. Yes, an oxygen tank while the world clapped. She was collapsing behind the curtain. But what really shocked people? Jerb accused David of controlling everything, not just Tamela's career, but the whole family, like it was a business. He said, David treated them like a brand, not a real family. Tamela, he said, was the face of it all. The product everyone loved. But no one was asking if she was truly okay. At first, fans refused to believe it. Not David Mann, they said. Not the funny, prayerful guy we all adore. But then the whispers grew louder, people close to the family started confirming what Jerb had said, and then came the moment that shook everyone. Tamela called 911. Yes, the voice of gospel, the woman we all listened to for comfort, called the police. And she did not need help from strangers, she needed help because of her own husband. The man she had prayed with, worked with, and stood beside for years. Insiders say that call was full of fear and heartbreak. Tamela had just discovered some documents she had never seen before. What she found changed everything. Reportedly, she found legal papers giving David power of attorney, control over her money, her health, and her decisions. And the worst part, she does not even remember signing them. If that was not bad enough, people are now saying there were also insurance policies taken out in her name just weeks before her health began to collapse. That does not sound like a coincidence. That sounds serious. That sounds like something straight out of a true crime show. And it still does not end there. A close family source claims Tamela was also shown footage from their home's security cameras. What she saw broke her. The yelling, the emotional pain, the moments where she said, "I cannot do this anymore." This was not a gospel play. There were no cameras rolling, no scripts, and no punchlines. What happened in that house was heartbreak in real time. After watching the security footage from her own home, Tamela Mann broke down in tears in front of her daughter, Portia. Whispering in pain, she said, "He has taken everything from me." Portia, who had quietly stood by her mother through it all, responded softly, "You have carried everyone else for so long. Now let someone carry you." That was the moment Tamela made the hardest call of her life. Not to her church. Not to her manager. But straight to 911. That one call changed everything. Within minutes, police arrived at the Mann home. David Mann stood still, unusually calm. He did not argue. He did not resist. He was said to be quietly mumbling Bible verses as officers handcuffed him and led him away from the house he once ruled, like royalty, as David was escorted to the patrol car. Tamela was surrounded by medical professionals and close family members, people who had waited years for her to finally break free. They were not celebrating David's fall. They were standing by to help Tamela rise. And rise she did. Because that moment was not just about saving herself, it was about every woman who was told to stay quiet, to keep smiling, to keep serving, even while suffering in silence. As the news spread, gospel fans everywhere were left shocked and heartbroken. Some defended David. Others began connecting the dots, revisiting old interviews. They noticed how Tamela would sometimes hesitate before answering, how her eyes would drift away, how she would look to David even when the question was hers. What once seemed like humble submission now looked like quiet suffering. But this story is not just about glances or gestures. It is about power, who had it, who misused it, and who finally said enough. And then things got even darker. If the allegations are true, this was no longer just a failing marriage. We are talking about elder abuse, financial fraud, and serious legal violations. As investigators looked deeper, one thing became clear: this would not be swept under the rug. Tamela had begun to pull back the curtain, and now the very community she once inspired was standing up for her. From small online groups to trending hashtags, support poured in. Church members, gospel fans, even fellow artists voiced their love. One gospel singer wrote, "Suffering in silence is not faith. Speaking up is." Another posted, "You can love Jesus and still walk away from harm. Proud of you, Tamela." The gospel world was no longer just watching, it was waking up. And as Tamela's voice grew stronger, the carefully polished image of the Mann family began to crumble. Because the deeper the truth was uncovered, the more disturbing it became. Right after David's arrest, a second wave of shocking details emerged. People who once worked with the Manns began to speak up, quietly at first, then louder. One anonymous, former employee revealed that David had allegedly been handling Tamela's private medical files without her direct consent. He was said to be intercepting her mail, screening her phone calls, and choosing who could visit her during recovery. And then came something even more unsettling. Tamela's legal team reportedly found email conversations between David and their longtime business manager. These emails, now in the hands of investigators, allegedly discussed how to keep the gospel brand alive if Tamela's health took a turn for the worse. One line stood out: "She doesn't need to be on stage to keep the brand alive. We just need the image." Let that sink in. If true, it means David may have been planning how to keep making money from Tamela's name, even if she could no longer perform. And then there were the insurance documents. 3 life insurance policies, all signed within just 2 months before Tamela's major health scare, all naming David as the only beneficiary. The amounts large, the timing suspicious. One policy even included a payout clause for tour losses if Tamela became sick or died. That is not the behavior of a husband praying for healing. That sounds like someone preparing for a worst-case scenario and profiting from it. So how did all this stay hidden for so long? The answer is silence. The Mann family built their empire on faith, love, and unity. Tamela was the voice. David was the face. Their kids played supporting roles. The fans, the loyal congregation. No one wanted to believe anything was wrong. And those who saw signs, they stayed quiet. Speaking up would break the image. But Tamela was not just losing her strength, she was reportedly losing control of her money, her time, and even her identity. According to a source close to her legal team, her signature appears on contracts she does not remember signing. One of them gave permission to use her voice in an AI gospel project, letting her vocals be repurposed even if she never stepped in a studio again. While she lay in bed recovering, someone was allegedly planning to make her sing Forever Evan if her voice was gone. Then came the video footage from inside their home. This was not some blurry, distant clip. It was clear, time-stamped, real. David yelling, pacing, accusing Tamela of being weak, selfish, and dramatic while she clutched her chest, struggling to breathe. In one chilling moment, he is seen walking out as she gasps for air, saying, "You're not going to ruin everything we built because you want to be dramatic." Yes, dramatic. That is what he reportedly called a woman in the middle of a possible medical emergency. Clips from this footage were allegedly shown during a legal hearing, and now, those details are beginning to leak. The gospel world may have thought this story had peaked, but the truth? It is just beginning to unfold. As the news broke, so did the silence, and soon, the outrage came pouring in. Social media lit up like wildfire. Hashtags like #JusticeForTamela and #GospelGate began trending. Virtual prayer circles were being held by church groups, while Black Twitter turned into a full-on investigation team. On Facebook, people started digging up old sermons from David Mann, watching every word, side-eyeing every verse. Even gospel artists who once worked with the Manns began stepping back. One singer who had toured with them tweeted, "You never really know what's behind the gospel stage. Praying for Tamela, some of us knew. Most were just scared to speak." Then came the twist no one saw coming. According to someone close to the family, this scandal may go far beyond just Tamela and David. Some of the documents and financial deals reportedly involve big-name gospel executives, managers, and tour promoters. These people allegedly knew Tamela was not well but pushed her to keep performing anyway. One leak even claimed that a well-known tour promoter offered David extra money to make sure Tamela stayed on stage, even if she needed medical help backstage. If true, this was not just personal betrayal. This was organized exploitation. And where was the church during all of this? That's a question many fans are now demanding answers to. Some of the megachurch pastors who welcomed the Manns on their platforms are now under fire. A few released vague statements asking for prayers. Others deleted old videos and went quiet. But the fans are not forgetting. Not this time, because this is not just messy gossip. This is about a woman of deep faith who was possibly manipulated, controlled, and treated like a product by the very people she trusted most. And Tamela, she is not hiding. Her story is no longer about shame. It is about truth. It is about power. Her daughter Portia has stepped up, becoming her mother's protector. Sources say Portia now oversees Tamela's medical care, is working closely with lawyers, and has removed anyone connected to David from her mother's life. In a message shared with family, Portia reportedly wrote, "We're not hiding anything anymore. Mama gave her life to everyone. Now she's taking it back." Tamela is now slowly recovering under 24/7 medical supervision, surrounded by loved ones. No handlers, no promoters, no pressure. For the first time in years, she is resting without someone handing her a microphone, and her legal team. They are not just filing for divorce. They are preparing to sue for financial abuse, elder exploitation, and medical neglect. Court action is coming soon, and insiders say the names involved will rock the gospel world to its core. Because if David Mann is found guilty or even partially responsible, this will not just damage his image, it could collapse the massive gospel industry built around their brand. So where does that leave Tamela? With strength, with truth, with a new beginning. The woman who once sang "Take Me to the King" is now stepping into her own kingdom, no longer someone's brand, someone's puppet, or someone's paycheck. She is a survivor, a truth teller, a woman taking back her life, right in front of the world. But the storm is far from over. In fact, the thunder is just beginning. When the truth hits, it does not only strike the guilty, it floods everything around them. And Tamela's voice, once silenced, is now echoing across churches, stages, and social media. The gospel world is shaking under the weight of her truth. By the time David Mann's mugshot quietly started spreading online, the damage was already done. There were no smiles this time, no staged photos. This was no longer just a broken marriage. It had become a legal wildfire, and the flames were reaching everyone tied to the Mann brand spiritually and financially. Tamela's legal team, backed by 2 major law firms and a private forensic accountant, officially filed a lawsuit. The charges include elder abuse, coercive control, medical negligence, and fraudulent financial activity. Though the court documents are sealed for now, insiders who have seen them say the evidence is terrifying. A spreadsheet reportedly shows over $650,000 in unexplained withdrawals from Tamela's business account over just 14 months, labeled vaguely as production expenses or pastoral support. The spending does not match Tamela's schedule or her declining health. Simply put, money was moving and Tamela had no idea. And remember those AI gospel songs? A leaked email reveals that a tech company had offered David $300,000 upfront to create 3 albums using Tamela's voice without her involvement. There was no signed agreement, just a forged signature. Even some of David's strongest supporters began backing away. Church leaders who once praised the man's marriage as an example of faith went silent. A few posted Bible verses. Some took down old sermons. One church even told its followers, "We are not answering questions at this time. But someone is asking questions now." Federal investigators, sources say, the FBI and state elder abuse teams are now reviewing the case. Why? Because some of the money tied to Tamela's accounts came from church donations and ticket sales, faith-based funds. That means this could go beyond fraud. It could become a federal financial crime investigation. One legal source said, if someone used medical control, forged papers, and financial manipulation against a vulnerable adult, we are no longer talking about a private matter. This is a federal case. While the law builds its case, the public anger is rising. Fans who once looked to Tamela for comfort and inspiration now feel crushed. Her songs helped people heal, cry, pray, and, all that time, she was silently suffering. That is not just heartbreaking, that is unforgivable. Social media has become a courtroom, and fans, they are the jury. Pages that once celebrated the Manns are now being used to expose them. People are digging through old interviews, clips, and moments that now seem to tell a very different story. One viral TikTok highlighted a 2019 interview where David interrupted Tamela 5 times in just 1 minute, cutting her off every time. She tried to talk about her health, the creator of the video said. Now it all makes sense. Even some gospel singers who personally knew the Manns are speaking out without naming names. One singer wrote, "There were nights we had to carry her off the stage. It wasn't about ministry, it was about control. And the most painful part, Tamela's music healed millions of hearts, but she could not find healing in her own home." Thankfully, her daughter, Portia, is now standing by her side like never before. She has stepped up as her mother's full-time caregiver and legal defender. Portia has reportedly locked David out of all access to Tamela's files, passwords, accounts, everything. Tamela has left the house she once shared with David. She is now in a private location, surrounded by trusted family and professionals who are focused on her recovery. Insiders say her healing is not just physical, it is emotional. And it is real. For the first time in years, Tamela feels safe in one leaked audio clip shared on a fan page. Tamela says quietly, "I forgot what peace felt like." That one line broke hearts across the gospel community. Because behind the smiling family, photos and polished performances was a woman who was being drained physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Destroy anyone just trying to live again. That message says it all. This is not a staged gospel comeback. This is a real-life resurrection, the kind that comes from surviving something dark and coming out stronger, even if you are scarred. The silence is over. The masks are off. No more choosing image over truth. No more smiling through pain. Tamela herself has become the testimony. And whether the gospel world is ready or not, a new story is being sung, a song of freedom, a song of survival, a song that is raw, powerful, and real. Now that the curtain is pulled back, the spotlight is no longer on the man's perfect image. It is on the truth, messy, emotional, and undeniable. What we are seeing is not just another celebrity scandal. This is a spiritual earthquake, and its aftershocks are only beginning. Tamela Mann, the woman many believed was living a picture-perfect life, was actually surviving in silence. And now that silence is broken. And the sound it made, unforgettable. So we have to ask, how long? Was this happening right in front of us? How many signs did we overlook? Was the brand just too polished? Was the couple too perfect? Were the prayers too scripted? And most importantly, how many other women, especially in church spaces, are being silenced in the name of loyalty, image, or God's will? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Did you ever sense something was off? Do you believe Tamela's story? What should happen next with David Mann? Let's talk. Let's reflect. Let's break this silence together. And if you're just as stunned, heartbroken, and fired up as we are, smash that like button. Hit subscribe. Turn on notifications. Because this story is far from over. Tamela's voice is only getting louder. And what's coming next might change the gospel world forever. This is not drama. This is truth. And here, we serve it hot, heavy, and holy. We are listening. We are watching. And we are standing with Tamela Mann. Stay tuned, stay alert. And we will see you in the next Exposed.